Here in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis says there are no confirmed cases in the Sunshine State, but he said agencies are carefully monitoring developments. In Jacksonville, Mayor Lenny Curry also looked to reassure everyone. Our Eliza Powell joins us from the newsroom tonight with a closer look.
That's right, Anthony. The tone today is reassurance as Mayor Curry held a roundtable discussion with the state fire marshal and first responders. Despite the fear and uncertainty, Mayor Curry says first responders, police, and health departments are working around the clock to plan for a pandemic in case.
The most important thing people need to know is these people are talking all the time and preparing for this potential threat as they would if we were facing a hurricane or any other threat.
Governor Ron DeSantis said in a press conference this morning that each county has been briefed on contaminant protocols.
The bottom line goal of public health response for this virus is containment and to stop person-to-person transmission.
Governor DeSantis reminded Floridians that there are no confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Florida. Though that could change, Mayor Curry also reminded people to stay vigilant about proper hygiene.
Act right now as you would act if you wanted to prevent the flu, which we should frankly be doing all the time. Right. Whether we're in a flu season or not in a flu season, we should be washing our hands, just being careful, if somebody's sick, they should stay home.
Jacksonville and surrounding counties continue to plan ahead. Many of the pandemic and emergency plans have been in place for months and even years for previous health emergencies like H1N1 and bird flu. Now, we've reached out to local schools, hospitals, the Jacksonville International Airport, and other businesses to get an idea of what their plans are if the coronavirus actually does land here in Jacksonville. And we will keep you updated as soon as we hear back from those places. And now, coming up at 6, we will also tell you more about the first responders' emergency plans in the newsroom. Eliza Powell, First Coast News, on your side.